Welcome to Path to Peace with Todd Perlmutter. I'm your host, Todd Perlmutter. Our world is a projection of our collective consciousness. The more peace we bring into our lives, the more peace we bring into this world. So let the transformation begin. We all know that comparison steals our joy. And when we are feeling like we are falling behind in life, we are comparing on top of comparing. We are comparing our past and our future to this present moment, comparing it to our dreams, our plans. We are comparing it to our friends, family, and neighbors. And we are comparing to what we see on social media and on TV. And we are comparing only to modern times, this present moment. If 100 years ago, everyone got married at 18 and they had 4 kids by 25, today, it seems like we're all behind. And in 25 years, 50 years, we might all seem vastly far ahead compared to the way this trend seems to be going. So this idea of falling behind is completely arbitrary, and it is completely dependent on some external reference point, which is constantly shifting. And the source of this suffering stems from the accumulation of time. Instead of being fully present, enjoying our unique journey, we are measuring our current place along our path to our past and our future. And this constant measuring stick that we are judging our life by often looks like a hockey stick, that exponential curve. And it may look flat for a long time as we are building the life we want. And if we are constantly looking back, we may feel like we're making no progress, and we may really be doubting ourselves and suffering immensely just before that curve starts to go vertical. But life really does move on that exponential curve, and it can seem like it's going flat, horizontal, our whole life, and then it explodes like a rocket heading for the stratosphere. Think about it. We go to school for our childhood and our teens, and we're making very little to no money. And then we graduate from high school or college, and boom, we're suddenly making more than we've ever seen in our lives. We don't really date for most of our youth, and then we become teenagers and start dating, but it's just relationship after relationship that's not going anywhere, and then boom, we meet the right person out of nowhere, and it all changes. Our whole life changes overnight. Maybe we've been working for many years and it's really hard to save, but then we get a raise or we get a promotion, or we get a new career, or our business just takes off because all of that hard work, all of those years of struggle finally pay off. So it's very easy to fall into that despair, especially after years of trying things and not working. But we are constantly learning, and it just takes one moment that can come out of nowhere and completely change our lives. So we have to be aware of the measuring sticks we are using to judge our lives, and aware of that true trajectory of our lives, which is not always a straight line. You know, it may look more like a hockey stick. It may look more like the stock market, where it's up and down, but over the long term, it is growing exponentially. The height of the stock market, right before the Great Depression, had the Dow Jones sitting at 381. Today, it's 43,000. So the thing with measuring our lives, especially when we don't have the future laid out for us to compare to, is like driving a car blind. We can only compare our lives to some imagined future. We don't have the full picture. And to compare at all is to fail to appreciate where we are in this moment on our journey. Comparing only leads to fear and ultimately paralysis, because we are not thinking clearly, because we're not present. Any comparison to a fantasy that does not exist is going to lead to false thinking and often panic. If we had panicked during the Great Depression and sold our stock when the Dow Jones hit 50, we would have failed to experience that comeback, which happened right after. But if we were to stick to the fundamentals of investing, the things that never change, then instead of comparing this moment to 2 years ago, we would know to stay with those good investments, and we would get to experience those golden years of the 50s and 60s. And I really think that the stock market is a wonderful comparison, because almost more than being about fundamentals of business, the stock market is a representation of our collective consciousness, which is simply a reflection of our individual consciousness. We're always comparing this quarter to the last quarter, and we're always thinking about the next quarter, all while failing to appreciate just how far we've actually come, all while failing to focus on what truly matters, which in the stock market is finding those businesses with strong fundamentals and that are highly innovative. And in our personal life, it's how are we best able in this moment to add value to our lives, to the lives of others, and to our community and society. For every single person, that will look completely different. So no two measuring sticks will even have the same units of measurement, and they will be completely incompatible with each other. There is only this one sacred timeline. And so no matter where you are on your journey, you cannot be behind or ahead. You aren't supposed to know the future. You aren't supposed to know when you have that $1 million in the bank or when you have those kids or when you meet that spouse. Whether you get that home today, tomorrow, or 10 years from now. What really matters is how much you enjoyed working towards that house, building your dream house, and how much love that home is filled with. No matter where we are on our journey, someone is ahead of us and someone is behind us. If everyone was at the same place, that trail, that path, would be too crowded, and the traffic would be a nightmare. And sometimes slow and steady wins the race. Life is not a sprint to the finish line, which is just the demise of these bodies. And that is what happens when we are racing to get somewhere instead of enjoying the journey. And even if we could know how our life was to be laid out, if we could know we were going to win the lottery next month because we had this infinite wisdom, we would actually choose not to know, because that would defeat the beauty and meaning and purpose of this life. We chose this life on this planet because the stakes are high, because it is uncertain, and because it is what we make it. If all of that was predetermined, predestined, and we knew exactly how it was going to go, we would be bored out of our minds and we would be miserable. And this is why we don't live in that universe, because we designed this one to be magical, unpredictable, and unknowable, so that we could explore for our entire life. So this notion of being behind is only part of our fantasy, part of something we created that is nothing more than an illusion. There is no race. There is no competition. We are choosing to create this competition, this comparison. We are the creators of it. We made it, and we are making us suffer for it. Is an immigrant that comes to the United States with nothing behind? Not compared to where they came from. So are we going to compare ourselves to someone who was born into generational wealth? Or are we going to appreciate our own unique and beautiful adventure? We are all in the greatest adventure the universe has ever seen. And we love adventure. We don't want to know how a mystery novel ends when we start it. We want to see horror movies that have unexpected moments that startle us. And yet when it comes to our own life, suddenly we lack the courage to go on this adventure, the most realistic, with the best writing, the best acting, the best special effects. All because we have placed our extreme desires, expectations onto this movie so that we can't actually enjoy it, because we demand that it go according to our own ideas instead of letting the greatest filmmaker in the history of the universe itself, take us on that journey. When I was a kid and I was just starting kindergarten, I was born right in the middle of the summer. And so I just missed the cutoff. And I was placed in a kindergarten where I was the youngest. And When you're at that age, that 1 year makes a huge difference in our maturity. 1 year may not seem like a lot when you're 40 and someone else is 41, because it's only a 2.5% difference in age. But when you're 5 and 6 going to kindergarten, that is an 18% difference. And so instead of continuing on as the absolute youngest person in my class and struggling to keep up, I was held back a year. And I could look at my life as, oh no, my whole life I'm a year behind. I am losing the race. But that's not how I see it. The way I see it was with gratitude, because I excelled so much more through school that I even went into the advanced curriculum. I excelled in sports because instead of being the smallest, I was one of the biggest. And I don't know, maybe I got so used to it, but I even took a year off between high school and college, which even further just helped me know what I wanted to do with great clarity, with more experience than every one of my peers. And I am quite certain that this had an enormous impact on my success. So yes, your life may not be going to your plans for how you saw things, but that may open an even bigger door for you, where something in your life may feel like a setback or a regret. It can only feel like that compared to your imagined future, your imagination. When you realize that everything is just experience gained, then there is no such thing as falling behind. People can change their careers at any age, and that doesn't mean that they wasted years or decades. It all just becomes fuel for that rocket ship you've been building. There is not just one life plan. There is not one single way that all of our lives are supposed to look. Whatever has happened in your life, you can make the most of it. You can live as though you chose it, and you can turn your unique experience into your unique gift. Some people won't have kids. Some people will. And either way, we can have a great, rich, and fulfilling life. It may not go according to our plan, but if we stay open, if we stay positive and we live with courage, only then can our lives be better than we even imagined. To live according to our imagination is to live a limited life. It shuts down our limitless possibilities. And instead of enjoying life and all its unexpected twists and turns, we live obsessed with meeting benchmarks that we have created. And all of that measuring and accumulating time, comparing this moment to the last moment, comparing this spot on our journey to someone else's journey, is all just playing the mental suffering mind games. When we can fully be where we are, fully present, fully with each step of the journey, it doesn't matter if it's been 1,000 miles or if we have 1,000 miles to go. We are making the most out of this step. And this step is all there is. Other people can judge us. Other people can look from where they are and look down on us. That is just someone else on their journey who is also not looking down at the step they're taking in the moment and is instead suffering because they are constantly measuring themselves to others. You do not have to adopt that mindset. You do not have to stress over the people in front of you. We all come into this world at different times with different advantages and disadvantages. So there is literally nobody we can truly compare ourselves to because we are born from these unique circumstances. There is only this moment. So there is no behind. There is no ahead. There is only the present moment unfolding of life. There is the present moment intention of where you want to go, and there is this step right now to take to get there, and nothing else matters. Every comparison is a distraction. Getting down on yourself for missing one of your milestone markers will only make it harder to achieve what you are working towards. So we all have one job when we feel like we're falling behind in life. And that is to, as quickly as possible, accept our reality, accept where we are, and make the most of it. Use what we have, not focus and dwell on what we don't have. And realize that every experience, especially the setbacks and regrets and mistakes, are your greatest strengths. They are your unique experience, your unique education from the universe. As every artist knows, your pain is your inspiration, and through art and creativity, it becomes transformed. And this is the same in business and in relationships. Every mistake teaches us something about the world. Sometimes it's a hard lesson to learn, but those are the biggest lessons. That's our masterclass. So when you feel like you're behind, remember there was no roadmap and that you are right on track. This is where you're meant to be. This is what you're supposed to be doing. And you will keep on figuring it out. Keep on shining a light into the darkness, into that great unknown mystery. And you will keep finding your way, like you always have, right on time. Because it couldn't have been any other way. If it could have, it would have. But it can only go one way. So dust yourself off, pick yourself up, and keep moving forward. And from every lesson learned, all the wisdom gained, and every unique experience, that consistent growth will become exponential. And you will look back on your life and not believe how far you've come. Thank you so much for listening. Much love. And to learn more about those 10,000 mental steps that we can all take to reach our destination, our goal of a happy and fulfilling life, for those simple and practical steps, you can check out my book, 10,000 Mental Steps, A Happiness Challenge, now available on Amazon, where I go into great detail about all of the things that we can really take action on in our daily life to focus on this moment, and so we can live a life of peace, presence, and purpose. All the proceeds will be going to veterans and sharing these life-changing teachings with them because they have done so much for us. Thank you, and much love. You have been listening to Path to Peace with Todd Perlmutter. Being here and putting in this important and noble work is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself and others. If you found this podcast even a little helpful, please make sure to leave a review so it can reach others who may be in need. And remember, the path to peace starts with a single step.